I am not a fan of that cliffhanger. That honestly almost pushed me over the edge to start reading the manga. Like, Nezuko's reaction just of wanting to drink blood, to have blood, honestly is my thought process right now. Like, I am starved to know what's going to happen. And I'm just like, are you serious? Like, you really would end an episode right there when Nezuko comes out of her little box and we get to see her reaction like she's starving, and we're finally getting an answer to a question that many of us have been wondering about for a long while. Does she still crave blood? Does she still want to feast on humans? You know, what exactly is going on? Because we know that Tanjiro has been in a lot of fights, so it makes you really wonder what's going on with her mind while Tanjiro is fighting. So there's a lot of things I've wondered about for a while, and I think many fans can agree we've wondered about. And so this episode's cliffhanger leaves us on a moment where we're like, are you serious? It's getting so good. I mean, you end it right there. I'm a little bit upset. I really am. Like, I really was half tempted just to go read the manga, but I want to try to hold it back at least until this season ends if there's no season 2 announcement, because I do like this series quite a bit. But okay, let's get right into it. This episode really has quite the cast of characters introduced. We get introduced to, like, the top officials of the Demon Slayer Corps. We get to see all the Hashiras, I think that's how you pronounce it, each individual one, and kind of how their personality is. And we get a lot of insight to how they are very different from each other. They're very distinct, not just design-wise in terms of their appearance, but their personalities. And there was enough about them for me to really understand maybe what drives these characters or what kind of personality they really have. And I do like this episode for that. I know many might not find this episode as enjoyable as I did, but I really think there was a lot of care and passion put into showcasing these characters that we're probably going to be dealing with for a long while, because these are the Hashiras. They're the individuals that are basically the top tier. They're the end game, basically. They're the individuals that are above the normal Demon Slayers, and they're the ones that can take on the biggest threats, I'm assuming, like the 12 Demon Moons. So, obviously, seeing these characters, we need to understand what really makes them tick, why they're here in the first place, and we gotta remember that their background, their origin story is probably very similar to someone like Tanjiro, Zenitsu, or, you know, Inosuke. They're probably very similar in that regard, because when we think about it, most of these people that probably join the Demon Slayers is probably wanting to seek vengeance. Probably their family was slaughtered by Muzan, or something happened to, you know, a close relative, etc. They've been personally affected by demons. I mean, there is an off chance that some of them haven't, they're just fascinated to save the world. But overall, though, I do think most of the Demon Slayers, at least the higher-ups, probably are driven by something because of what has probably happened to them in their past. And I'm assuming that all these characters, we're going to really get to understand them before everything is said and done. So, okay, let's get right into it. I want to kind of go over, like, almost every individual. If I forget one, you know, correct me in the comments below. But, okay. To start off, let's talk about the Demon Slayer that stabbed Nezuko, because I think he is someone that really is going to pop up in a lot of discussion for this episode because of what he did. Many might be quick to put the man down, being aggressive, you know, doing what he did to Nezuko, etc., and be quick to just say he's an awful person, but you got to remember a couple of things, though. There's a lot of things you got to factor in, which I kind of already briefly said in this video, is that all these Demon Slayers have a background. They're not just a clean slate. They're probably all here for a reason, and even if they didn't join the Demon Slayer Corps because of whatever happened to their family or friends, they have probably seen enough of what demons do to really get a good opinion on how demons are. Most demons, like 99% of them probably, are just straight up awful. They put on this facade like they're good-natured, and then they're really awful. So, when you think about it, it makes sense why most of these Demon Slayers would be outright against Tanjiro even having a demon tag along with him. Even if it is his sister or once was his sister, they don't care, because their job is to take them down, and they've seen enough to where they know that even if you were once flesh and blood, that does not matter anymore. So, anyone that is quick to assume that the guy that attacked Nezuko is at fault or just straight up evil or a bad person, you're wrong. You gotta remember from his perspective. Now, to go one step further and kind of talk about him, it's clear as day that at first glance, before you really get to know him, that he is a very aggressive individual. He is someone that seems to not really think. He doesn't seem to be someone that's relatively that bright. He seems kind of to be a muscle brain. That's your first impression of him before you see the master come in, and he has this proper formal respect to his higher up. And that instantly shows that there's a lot more going on with his character than meets the eye. And that aggressive nature he was showing Tanjiro towards Nezuko as well was because of what he's seen in his life. And you can see that he holds great passion for the higher-ups, at least the master. He respects him quite greatly. And that is the reason why he got so offended, so upset, is because probably something happened to him to where he's like, I've been slaying demons for so long, and you're telling me that this one demon's a-okay. There's a likely chance that maybe he comes from a similar background as Tanjiro. Maybe at one point in time he thought his sister was fine or something, or a brother, etc., family member, and they turned around and stabbed him in the back and tried to kill him, and he had to fight back. I mean, I could definitely see some of these demon slayers having a very similar origin story, saying, oh, my sister's fine, but in reality, their sister isn't fine. So I think he comes from a background that's probably very similar, which would explain his overall nature. Now, besides that, I do think that the snake guy, he is someone that definitely, he fits the role with what he has. Like, he's acting like a snake, slithering, all that, trying to start problems and, you know, just talk between individuals and stuff. But when you look at his character, there seems to be a lot more going on. When I look at his character, I feel like the reason why he acts like he does, why he's so suspicious, or why he, you know, he tries to really just point out flaws of people or something, is probably because at one point or time he trusted a demon or something, and it ruined his trust for an individual, and now he no longer can really respect demons, feel for them, or whatever. I feel like he comes from a backstory that's probably similar to, like I said, the first guy. Now, let's talk about the individual, the female character, the new one that has pink hair. She seems like an airhead. She seems like bubbly, airheaded type character. But these type of characters usually are someone that puts on a facade as well. They put on this cutesy attitude because there's something that they're trying to hide. And when I see her type of character, all I am reminded of is someone that probably is acting all cutesy, happy, but when you make them angry or something happens when the going gets tough, then you see the real them. You see how angry or awful they can probably be towards their enemy. And I feel like that's probably the type of character she is. Now, the other one, we have the straight-laced guy, the one that has, like, the smile. You can't really see his emotions on his face, but overall, the way he acts, he seems like a guy that just strictly follows the rules. He's all for passion. I can definitely see this guy being driven by, like, peace. He just wants the world to be at peace, and just, he wants to follow rules. If you don't follow the rules, you need to be punished, etc. He seems to be that type of guy. And then you have the other one that's all about, you know, being very, you know, pizzazzy, like, you know, flashy, stuff like that. And when I think about him as an individual, I think he's someone that just really wants to gain fame. He's someone that wants someone to stand out, have a, like, a bright, you know, shining light before your final moments or something. I feel like that's kind of how he wants to go down as well, is that if he ever dies, he wants to go out in, you know, a flash of light, you know, be remembered like a big bang or something. But that's how I peg his character. Any other characters? Let's see here. We have, Shinobu, which, obviously Shinobu, we got a little bit more about her in the previous episodes, but this episode shows that she is someone that's also very rule-orientated, but at the same time, she's someone that wants to follow the chain of command. She wants to get both sides of the story before she truly makes her decision. That's at least what I get from Shinobu as a character, is that even if she may be someone that has some conflict with demons, it does seem like she at least wants to know both sides before she actually does something, because she didn't want to make any hasty judgment until the master actually said what was going on. Then, we talk about the master. Now, the master, I don't really know what type of personality he has. He's very suspicious, but the two girls that we met at the final selection are with him, and we know that Tanjiro has a history with those two. He did protect one of them from being bullied and all that. They didn't really probably need help, but he protected them, which I think in turn has probably put them in, you know, a good opinion of Tanjiro, and they probably told the master that, yes, he's a good dude, which is probably why, once again, he's willing to work with Tanjiro and even respect him, because he did protect them overall, and probably that doesn't normally happen. And speaking of which, the master, his face is obviously a little bit messed up. He's blind in both eyes, and he has this very mysterious aura. It makes you wonder what really happened. I'm assuming it has something to do with Muzan or the 12 Demon Moons, because there's just no way an important figure like that would probably be that injured unless it wasn't like a big bad, like a really big named enemy. Which, speaking of which, Muzan. He was mentioned this episode, and we get a little bit more information about him, which I was actually not expecting at all. But apparently, the Hashiras, the main demon slayers, they don't actually see. They've never really encountered Muzan before, which is just very peculiar. Because when you think about it, Muzan wasn't necessarily hiding. When Tanjiro found him, he wasn't hiding. He wasn't like in a shelter hiding or anything like that. He was walking around the street, chilling with what apparently looked like a family, and you're just like, what is going on? And so, we know Tanjiro found him thanks to the scent, but at the same time, though, Tanjiro cannot be probably the only one that has that type of ability. I doubt it. I mean, we've seen that Zenitsu has a really, good hearing ability. Like, Zenitsu, he can hear from large distances, so I'm willing to bet there's individuals that are very similar to Tanjiro, like his sensei is. So, for the Hashiras not to really ever find Muzan, that does really pique my interest in what's really going on there, and why is Nezuko different from the normal demons? Did he really expect what is going on with her to exactly happen? So, anything else to really talk about? I covered all the Hashiras, which, by the way, speaking of the Hashiras, apparently, Giyu, he really stuck his neck out. So did the sensei for Tanjiro. They stuck their necks out for Tanjiro and his sister to protect him, because if, she does anything, if she attacks a human or whatever and it's found out, then they all will, be done. They're gone. They'll be executed on the spot. So, it's kind of sad, really, but it just shows how much faith they have in him, and they know that this demon, there's something definitely different about her. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this episode, how'd you feel about all the characters that were introduced, what's your favorite Hashira that was introduced, be honest in the comments below. I love you guys, you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live, be safe, Chibi out.